Good evening and welcome to the week 3 of the Premier League predictions here on the Commentary Hub. I'm Russ Vernon representing the Commentary Hub this week, and joining me today is one of our Commentary Hub who's helped myself and Mike set up the channel, and he also works for talkSPORT and other companies as well. It's Barry Swain. Barry, how are you doing, mate? You okay?
Hello, mate. You're right.
Yeah, not bad, mate. Thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, very well, very well. Looking forward to what should be a good weekend of football. Yeah.
Yeah, it should be a good weekend of football. But before we get into our predictions for this upcoming weekend's matches, Barry, I'm just going to remind people of the result. Tell people of the results that me and Luke got last week. So, as you can see on the screen now, I got 7 points compared to Luke's 3. I got 1 point for the Liverpool Burnley game. I got 1 point for the Man City Norwich game. 3 points for the Brighton Watford game, and 1 each for Arsenal and West Ham United. So there's my points there. And Luke got 3 points in the end. We just gained 1 point for each of those results. So you've got a big ask, Barry, to beat
Yeah, no
yourself.
pressure.
No pressure for you, my friend, this week. And we've got some cracking matches this weekend in the Premier League this weekend. In the first game that we've got coming up this weekend, and Mike Hardiman, our good friend on the channel, Barry, helped, who, who works alongside me to set it up, is his team Arsenal their way to Manchester City. Manchester City going really, really well in the league so far. 1 win and a draw, but brilliant win against Norwich last week. Arsenal back-to-back defeats in the league, but a win in the cup in midweek. How do you see this one going, Barry? Who do you reckon's going to come out on top in this one?
Well, they've had a bad start, haven't they, Arsenal? But midweek hitting 6 goals away from home was a bit of a surprise result. Obviously, West Brom put a very young side out, so I don't think you're reading into it too much. But Aubameyang back with a hat trick, Lacazette's back as well. And there'll be 2 big pluses for Arsenal. But I don't think they'll have enough to get anywhere near Manchester City. I'm going for a 3-0 home win on this one.
I've gone for a 4-0 home win on this one, Barry. I think City will score 4 goals. They get 6 last week. I think they'll score 4 this week. I think they'll score 10 goals in the opening 3 matches of the Premier League after losing on opening weekend to Tottenham. And I think Grealish will get another goal this weekend as well after his goal last week. And next up is one of the new boys, Brentford, there away at Villa Park. Aston Villa doing well so far. Beat Newcastle last week, but lost to Watford on opening day. Brentford with a win against Arsenal on opening day, then a draw against Aston Villa. I just see this game going, Barry.
I've seen both Brentford games so far. Done the game against Crystal Palace last week, 0-0. And I thought they probably just edged it, although Palace had probably the 2 best chances of the game. I think defensively they're decent. They've got a good goalkeeper, some sound midfield players, and going forward they're going to score goals, I think. And they should be okay, Brentford, from what I've seen so far. Villa bounced back from an opening day loss at Watford, which would have been very disappointing, especially being 3-0 down. They nearly got back at 3-2, didn't they? So they won last week. Great goal from Danny Ings. He's on fire at the moment, 2-2. I think this is going to be a tough game, a tough one to shout. I'm going to go 1-1 on this one. I like Brentford, and I think Villa are going to be strong this year. But I think Brentford are on a bit of a crest of the wave at the moment. And Ivan Toney, first goal for him, I reckon, this weekend, 1-1.
Yes, I'm going for a Desmond. I'm going for a 2-2. I think there'll be goals in this one. I think Villa have got goals in the side. You can just look at Danny Ings' superb goal last week, and they're doing really, really well against Newcastle. Did very well against Newcastle, and like you said, they were unlucky against Watford on opening day. Brentford have got goals in their side as well. You saw that against Arsenal, not so much against Palace last week. Although what you said from what I saw on the highlights, they did edge that game. I think it'll be 2-2 in this one. And next up, I'll go first. I think Brighton against Everton is going to be a very close one game. Both teams going fairly well in the league so far. Brighton 1-2 from 2. Everton 1-1 and drawn 1. The draw last week was against Leeds United, and I think Everton may just nick this one. I think, even though it's at the Amex, I'm going to say 2-1 to Everton, Barry.
That's what I was going to say, but I'm going to go different then. In that case, I'm going to go 1-0 Everton. I think Everton are going to have a little bit too much for Brighton going forward, and I'll go for 1-0 Everton in that one. I don't think there'll be many goals. There never usually is with Brighton, but I think Everton are going in the right direction under Rafa. I think they'll nick that 1-0.
Yes, the next one, Barry, is Newcastle United, and Rafa Benitez crashed out of the cup in midweek against Burnley on penalties. They're taking on Southampton, who are doing fairly well in the league this season, but did well in the cup in midweek against Newport. How do you see this game going, Barry?
Well, I'm doing it, and I've done the first Premier League game I did last week down at talkSPORT. It was 0-0, Brentford at Palace. So hopefully this one's got some goals. I'm tempted to say 0-0 just to kibosh the thought of another 0-0 draw. But I've got a feeling this game has got goals in it, and I think the Newcastle have got enough firepower and some maximum and so forth to get the better of the Saints. I don't think Saints are anything other than strugglers this season. They might just have enough to stay up, but they've lost, key players. Bertrand, they could yet lose Ward-Prowse. They've lost Danny Ings, and okay, they've replaced them. Have they replaced them with like for like or better players? Than probably not so good players. So, they had that 9-0 defeat, didn't they, at Manchester United? 9-0. Home to Leicester, somewhere in between. They had a good little run, but to lose 2 games in the space of 2 years, 9-0, suggests there is something wrong there. But then they've gone and won 8-0 in a week, so taste of how it goes the other way around. But I think they will struggle, Southampton, this year. I think Newcastle probably, if they can keep hold of Sam Maximin and Callum Wilson can stay fit, I think they'll have enough to stay up. But without those two, they could be in desperate trouble. I'm going for 2-1 to Newcastle on this one.
Yes, and Barry, I'm going for 0-0 in this one. I don't think there'll be any goals. I think both teams will cancel each other out. Newcastle can't seem to score at the moment.
I hope you're wrong.
in their games so far from what I've been seeing. And Southampton struggling for goals recently as well. So I don't see them scoring in, neither team scoring in this one. I'm going for a 0-0, so I think you're going over 0-0 in your commentary tomorrow. The next game up is a Carrow Road and Delia Smith's Norwich, who in charge of Norwich City welcome Leicester City. Daniel Falk against Brendan Rodgers in this game. Barry, how do you see this one going, my friend?
This is a typical one. Leicester, I saw them on Monday against West Ham, very disappointed. I know they were down to 10 men for over half the game. But up until then, West Ham were completely dominating them. They created very little chances. They got 1 goal in the second half. It's the only decent bit of football they played all evening. West Ham absolutely tore flesh off of them on Monday, and they were very good. I was disappointed with Leicester, and I think they'll be looking for a response. Norwich hit 6 in midweek. Which would be just the tonic that they wanted after the worst possible start. Manchester City and Liverpool. I mean, when those fixtures come out, they were not the fixtures they would have wanted, because they want to get off to a decent start. They're already entrenched at the bottom with no points and a -8 goal difference. So they need to get cracking with the points on the board. And I think at this stage, I think Daniel Farke will probably be quite happy with a point. And I've got a feeling they might just get it, 1-1 in this one.
I think Leicester will do well in this one. I think they'll bounce back from last week against West Ham, last Monday night against West Ham. And I'm going to say 2-0 win for the Foxes. I think Vardy will get on the score sheet. And I think Ian Acho may get the other one for the Foxes in this one.
He's the top scorer in the Premier League since, I think it's the end of March. So if you add up the goals since the end of March, he's the top scorer in the Premier League. So, he's the informed striker. And they've got Patson Daka as well, who I've seen quite a lot in the last year or so. And he could be good, but you've got to give him time. So they've got plenty of firepower, Leicester City, certainly.
They have indeed, Barry. They have indeed. Next game up is West Ham United against Crystal Palace. I think the Hammers will edge this one in the London derby, and I think the Hammers will win it 2-1. I think the Palace will score and get the first goal under Patrick Vieira. Not scored yet, Crystal Palace, since Vieira's took charge, but I think West Ham will just have enough, and I think it'll be 2-1 to the Hammers, Barry.
Played well the other night. West Ham, really impressed with them against Leicester. And I think it's 4 at Newcastle they got as well. That was a good result. Twice had to come from behind, so showed a bit of character. I think David Moyes has done a fantastic job there, and he's got a good team. And if they could add Jesse Lingard to that, they could be an outsider for the top 4 this season, certainly, as long as the Europa competition, or whatever they're in, I can't remember which one they're in, but whichever European competition they're in at the group stages doesn't affect them too much, because you expect them to get through a group stage unless they get a really unkind draw today. So they haven't got the biggest squad in the world, but and I think they need a striker to complement Mikel Antonio, who's never going to play 46 games in a season, or 40 games in a season, or 38 games in a season, wherever it is. He's never going to be fit for all of them. That's just the nature of the beast. But when he is fit, he's awesome. I mean, I've not seen anyone knock Ndidi off the ball before like he did the other night on more than one occasion. And he's on fire at the moment, and I can't see that Palace defence stopping him. I think this is going to be a comfortable one for West Ham, and I'm feeling for Palace at the moment. I done the game last week, and same old with Palace. They've got Will Zaha there, but you can't keep leaning on one man to keep you at the bottom 3 every year. And I do fear for them this year. I think they've lost a lot of players in the summer, and they've invested big. And I'm not sure that those big signings are necessarily going to keep them out of a relegation fight. And I think it's going to be 3-1 to West Ham.
Next game, Barry, is going to be a very good game indeed, Barry. Very good match indeed. Liverpool against Chelsea tomorrow night at 5:30. How do you see this one going, Barry?
Oh, wow. I mean, Liverpool have got off to a decent start, actually. Everyone's saying of the top 4, everyone's top 4, most people's top 4, 95% of the world, footballing world, are saying the top 4 will be the 2 Manchesters and Chelsea and Liverpool. And you can't disagree with that. I'm one of that 95%. And most people will probably put Liverpool in 4th because of their lack of transfer activity. But, Van Dijk's back, Alexander-Arnold's back. I think this is going to be won and lost possibly in the wing-back positions, because they've got some great wing-backs on display on this one. But I've got a feeling that Chelsea are going to come out on top of this one by 2-1.
I've gone for a 3-2 to Chelsea in this one, but I think, like I said, Chelsea's going to come out on top. I think it'll be a 5-goal game, and I think Chelsea will edge it by 3-2. Next up, we have got Burnley with JB against my boys Leeds United, as you can see just behind me, the Leeds stuff on the wall just behind me, just there. In another video which I did other day for one of my friends for his channel, talked about Leeds' season so far and the football predictions. I give my prediction for this one, and I'm going to stick with this one in this game. I'm going for a 4-0 Leeds win like we did last season at Turf Moor. I think our firepower of Rafinha, Harrison, and newly England international Patrick Bamford can have a field day against this Burnley defence, who have not really had a very good start to this season so far. I think Leeds will win it by 4-0. Barry, do you think this will be a comfortable Leeds United victory this weekend at Turf Moor?
Who do I upset, you or JB? I'm going to upset JB because I think Leeds will win this one. I'm not. I've said all the way along from before match day 1, I think Burnley will finish bottom of the Premier League, and I'm standing by that from what I've seen so far. I just, they've got a good set of players there, but Wayne Hennessy and was probably the most underwhelming signing of the summer, and I'm just underwhelmed by Burnley. They can't keep. Everyone keeps turning. I've got enough to stay up, but I don't know if they have this year. I really don't know that they have, and I think it's going to be a struggle for them, especially losing at home first game of the season against Brighton. They put up a decent performance at Anfield last week, losing to Liverpool. But I'm just worried. If they ever, I said this to JB on the previous podcast, they get one injury, the goalkeeper Pope or Ben Mee or Tarkowski or one of the strikers. I think that they're in big trouble if they get a big injury. If they can keep them all fit, they've got a chance. But I can't see them stopping Leeds on Sunday. I'm not going to be quite as ambitious with you. The scoreline, I'm going to go 2-1 Leeds.
Okay, so another Leeds win, 2 Leeds wins there. Next one, Barry, it's Tottenham Hotspur against Watford. Tottenham won last night in the Europa Conference League, and we'll have a discussion about the draw for who they've gone, how Leicester and West Ham have gone in the Europa League after we've done this on this show today. But I think Tottenham will edge it against the promoted Watford, and especially at home. And I'm going for a 2-1 win for Tottenham, and I think Kane and Son will probably go amongst the score sheet. And I was listening to a show on Thursday evening, which a Tottenham fan was on there on one of my friends' channels, just Joe Football Show before the whistle blows, which is similar to what we do. They do predictions for some of the matches in the Premier League, and the Tottenham fan on there says she's going to cheer goals that Kane scores, will cheer for the club rather than Harry Kane, because she says she doesn't want Harry Kane at Tottenham because he wanted to leave Tottenham, and he said she don't think the statement is put out. She thinks he's being forced by the club to pull that statement out. Do you think Tottenham will get a win in this one, Barry? And do you think Tottenham fans should be behind Harry Kane now? He's staying at the club.
Yeah, just forget about it. If Harry Kane fires the 90th minute winner on match day 38 to win Tottenham the title, they won't win the title, by the way. But if he did, I'm sure she'll be the first person jumping out of her seat and wanting to hug Harry Kane and take him home for breakfast. But so those people come up and say things like that, and football is a fickle industry sometimes. Listen, it's I don't think Harry Kane has managed this particularly well. I do believe he's changed his agent. It was his brother. I believe he's got someone a little bit more shrewd on board. He's not done his reputation any good at all. He's only got one tool that can save his face, and that's scoring goals. He scored 2 goals last night. I expect him to start the weekend, and I expect him to be on the score sheet against Watford. And I expect Tottenham to have too much for Watford. I'm going to go for a 2-0 home win.
Yes, the next game, Barry, is a very, very good game on paper. This one, Wolverhampton Wanderers against Manchester United. And I think it'll be a very good game, this one. I think it'll be a very close one thing as well. And I think that Wolves will edge it. And I think it'll be a 3-2 home win in this one for me. Barry, how do you see Wolves against Manchester United going?
Well, Wolves haven't had a good start, have they? They haven't scored yet. Lost 2 games, 1-0. I know it's not been easy. Leicester away, Tottenham at home, and doesn't get any easier. Manchester United. I think United dropped 2 points on paper. Certainly last week away at Southampton, they would have looked at that and thought, that's not the type of result we need going to somewhere like Southampton. And I think they need to bounce back with 3 points on the road at the weekend. I think they'll get it away at Wolves. And I'm probably going to go for a 2-1 United win.
Yes, so there's our predictions. I'll get them up on screen just before we finish today. But let's just touch on the draws that's happened in the past, yesterday and then today, Barry. First of all, we'll go to the Champions League 1 and we'll touch on the groups for the English side. So I'll just read you those out. In Group A, Manchester City have got Paris Saint-Germain, Leipzig and Club Brugge. In Club B, which is Liverpool, they've also got Atletico Madrid, Porto and AC Milan. In Group F, it's Villarreal, Manchester United, Atalanta and Young Boys. And in Group H, we've got Chelsea, Juventus, Zenit and Malmo. And just first one before we touch on who things got the group of death, first thing that jumped out to me, Barry, was in Group F, it's the rerun of last year's Europa League final, Villarreal versus Manchester United this time in the group stage. But that's the first thing that jumped out to me. But out of the English clubs, who do you think's got the toughest group out? For me, I think it's going to be Liverpool. I think Liverpool's group is the group of death this year.
Yeah, there's a couple of groups of death, isn't there? I mean, there's some strong teams in there now, and Manchester City are not going to find it easy getting out of that group. You know, it's going to be some tough games in there for them. You know, when you come into this group stage and you're playing 6 games and they come thick and fast, you're kind of hoping that 2 of the teams are not that strong, and you're able to not have to put a strongest team out against, or a very strong team against them, so you can actually stretch your squad out as much as possible. I think Liverpool, Manchester City have got some tough ones there. I mean, Chelsea against Juventus as well. I mean, you'd expect them to come through that group, but it's never that easy. And I think probably Manchester United, revenge mission possibly against Villarreal, but I think they've probably got the most manageable group of the 4, but none of them are easy. I think there's one group, the one with, I think it was Lille and Salzburg and everything, and it's probably looked a lot weaker than everyone else. But you know, that's sometimes the luck of the draw. Someone's got to make it through, and you know, you've got to take on board what you've been drawn against. I expect all 4 English sides to progress, but I don't think there's an easy route for all 4.
Yes, absolutely. And then we just go across to the Europa League, which was drawn earlier today, which features Leicester City and West Ham United. Leicester City have been in Group C. They've got Napoli, Spartak Moscow, and Legia Warsaw. Where West Ham, they've got Dynamo Zagreb, Genk, West Ham United, and Rapid Vienna in their group. Who do you reckon has got the tough one? Because I've seen a few fans of Leicester on the social media when the draw was done a little bit earlier today, Barry, and they've said they don't think they're going to go out of their group, Leicester. Do you think Leicester will go out of their group with Napoli, Spartak Moscow, and Legia Warsaw?
Well, it's not an easy group. I mean, Legia Warsaw, you know, decent Polish side. Napoli, obviously, we know all about, you know, the history of them being in and was it Dynamo Zagreb? Never easy going to places like Zagreb. I think that's a tough old group for Leicester City, and I think
No, Dynamo Zagreb's got. Barry, you've missed. Dynamo Zagreb's in with West Ham.
Oh, they're in West Ham. Sorry,
Leicester's got Spartak Moscow. Leicester have got Spartak Moscow.
Spartak Moscow, that was it, yeah.
Napoli and Legia Warsaw.
Spartak, it's a long journey as well to Russia as well, isn't it? That is a tough, I mean, it's still a tough draw for Leicester City. West Ham's group there, I think they had Genk from Belgium.
They've got Genk, Dynamo Zagreb and Rapid Vienna.
Rapid Vienna. I mean, Austria, take away Salzburg from the Austrian league and you're left with nothing. They'll easily beat the Austrian team. I say that tongue in cheek, they're probably going to lose in Austria, but you know they've probably got the easier of the 2 groups there. West Ham. I expect Leicester to negotiate that group, but I don't think it's going to be very easy. But I think they've got to still be favourites. You know, with what they've got, the firepower that they've got, I think they'll probably come through that group, but it's not going to be easy. I can see why Leicester fans are saying, I don't think we'll get out of this group. I think they will, but it won't be easy.
Yes, and then in the Europa Conference League, which Tottenham managed to get through last night, beating Pacos de Ferreira, they're in Group G of the Europa Conference League. They've got Rennes, Vitesse Arnhem, and NS Mura from Slovenia in their group. Tottenham, how do you think Tottenham will do in their group?
Yeah, they'll probably get out of that group, no problem at all. Who's the first team? Who was the first one in that group?
It was Tottenham, Rennes, Vitesse, and NS Mura.
Yeah, Rennes are a middle of the road, half decent French side. You'd expect them to beat them. Vitesse have had a poor start to the season in the Eredivisie. You'd expect them to beat them as well. Yeah, I haven't even heard of the other team, so they can't be that good. Tottenham will be all right. They'll be fine in that group.
Yes, and out of the English sides in the competitions I've just mentioned, first of all, go back to the Champions League, which has got Manchester United, Manchester City, Liverpool, and Chelsea. Who do you reckon out of the English sides are going to go the furthest in the Champions League for you?
Oh, good question. If Ronaldo goes into Manchester City, a lot of people saying that could be the missing part of the jigsaw for City to get the all-elusive Champions League win that they crave. Paris Saint-Germain are going to be strong as well, and Chelsea know how to win. They know how to win that tournament, and they know how to beat Manchester City, and I think they're going to be there or thereabouts this season. Liverpool get through the groups and into the knockout stages, and they get a favourable draw. Who knows? It could go on, and Manchester United as well. But you'd look at Manchester City and Chelsea as probably being the two most likely to make it through. But I think all four are capable of going a long way in the tournament, and you can't look much further other than PSG, maybe Bayern Munich, maybe, and that's really it. And then the competition being won by an English club again. It could be a dominant era for English clubs in the Champions League.
Yes. And then before we go to see who you think's going to get furthest in the Europa League between Leicester and West Ham, just to remind people, these are our predictions that we have gone for this week. I've gone for 4-0 Man City. Barry gone for 3-0 Man City in the Premier League this weekend. Aston Villa, I've gone for a 2-2. Barry's gone for 1-1. I've gone for 2-1 Everton. Barry has gone for a 1-0 Everton. I've gone for 0-0 between Newcastle and Southampton. Barry's gone for 2-1 to Newcastle. I've gone for Norwich to lose 2-0 to Leicester. Barry's gone for a 1-1 draw. West Ham to beat Palace 2-1 for me. Barry has gone for 3-1. Liverpool, Chelsea. I've gone for a 3-2 Chelsea win. Barry's gone for a 2-1 Chelsea win. I've gone for a 4-0 Leeds win against Burnley. Barry's gone for a 2-1 win for Leeds United. Tottenham have gone for we've gone for a 2-1 win for Tottenham for myself. Barry's gone for a 2-0. And I've gone for a 3-2 Wolves win to shock Manchester United. Well, Barry thinks Manchester United will not be shocked and they'll win Wolves by 2-1.
And
Now, Barry,
Russ, I was just about to say, I've just had the breaking news that Manchester United are a quote unquote confident of signing Ronaldo. So that could be an interesting battle between City and United in the coming days and weeks.
Yes, that should be an interesting battle indeed if they are to battle there. In the Europa League, then, Barry, we've got Leicester and West Ham in the Europa League. Who do you reckon is going to go the furthest in between those two in the Europa League?
It's a difficult one to call. I mean, I saw those two play each other last week. As I've already said, I was disappointed with Leicester. I'm very impressed with West Ham. Both of them have got good squads, but that squad depth is going to be tested on both of them, especially with Leicester as well. With the likes of Fofana out and Justin James out till Christmas. Fofana will be out till next year. Johnny Evans currently out, so they've got a lot of defensive problems. I know they've bought in Vestergaard, but they need a little bit. I think both managers, Brendan Rodgers and David Moyes, will be the first to turn around and say we could do with a bit more strength in depth in these competitions. So it's how they weigh it up. West Ham get through to the last 32 or the last 16, or Leicester get through. Do they start prioritising it against the top 4 finish or a top 6 finish? And the answer is probably no. So, is this competition going to be a hindrance until suddenly you get to the very latter stages, and you think, hold on a minute, we can win this and we'll be in the Champions League next year. So it's cutting your cloth accordingly and getting the balance right. But I don't think both have got strong enough squads to compete across a season in Europe and be successful in challenging top 4, top 6 in the Premier League. So for me, I think the lure of doing as well as possible in the Premier League might cost them a really good run in the Europa League, where both teams, listen, we've seen Middlesbrough get to the final before, Rangers get to the final not so many years ago. My team, Fulham, got to the final 10, 11 years ago. This is a competition that a club the size of West Ham and Leicester should be doing well in and could potentially go on and win it. But I do think that the lure of what's going on in the Premier League will ultimately probably end up in sacrificing them for success in Europe in the Europa League.
Yes, and Tottenham in the Europa Conference League. Barry won last night, as we already touched upon earlier. Do you reckon how far do you reckon Tottenham can go in this competition?
Well, I think you look at the group draws and Tottenham you know, I mean, that's the one group. I know it's only the Conference League, and it's the lesser of the powers. That sounds like a group that they're probably going to pick up 12 points out of 12 or whatever, and 6 games. Yeah. So, you know, it's probably they'll probably coast that group without probably needing to turn to the likes of Harry Kane and Son and their key players too much. I really do think they'll coast that league. Their big challenge is going to be when they get to the knockout stages of this competition. For them, I think they can put all their eggs in the Premier League basket until after the group stages. As far as I'm concerned, I think they've got a strength in depth that perhaps West Ham and Leicester haven't got quite so much of, and I think they'll breeze through that group. And why can't they go on and win it? And you know, it's at the moment it's a brand new competition, but you know, no Tottenham fan will say I don't want to win it. Of course, they want to win it. They want to win something. They haven't won anything in ages, have they? And so you know, this might be the opportunity for them to do well in Europe. And they have won European competitions before in the 80s and the 70s. So you know, why not now? You know, it's a competition that if they don't get out of that group, then serious questions will be asked, I'm sure.
Yes, absolutely, Barry. Absolutely, indeed, sir. Just want to say a big thank you for joining me this
Pleasure.
this evening, and hopefully we'll see how we go on, and I'll let you know after the weekend's fixtures if all finish and have ended up all at this point. Soon's come out on top. See if you can get the guests back into the lead as they were after Mike.
Oh, we're hoping so. I'm quite confident with those. You know, I've got a feeling, but I'm usually wrong.
Yes, sir. Hopefully, I can stay in the lead and get more points than you this week to keep the commentary up in the lead. But we'll have to wait and see with that one. So, just want to say thank you to both for coming on. Hopefully, you enjoy this one, and we'll catch you again on the predictions after the international breaks next week. Is the international break from all of us. Yeah, thank you for watching. We'll see you again soon.